Good evening. Today, I, along with many Americans, sat back and watched, literally in horror, as we see the amount of absolute, positive, 100% corruption, criminal activity, racketeering enterprises on the part of the Biden crime family. Not an exaggeration, not something that sounds good, not some, exalted form of excess. No. This is something that we cannot believe. It is beyond anything that we are seeing. It baffles, it boggles the mind. It is so obvious by virtue of the information that is provided, that the House has, that the whistleblower has, that Senator Grassley has, the audio tapes. You want to know, what is it that someone needs to know? What is it for a grand jury not to be impaneled, for a grand jury not to be immediately called, impaneled, to be directed to forget the president, he's the president, you have to impeach him, to go after his son, his brother, and the other individuals who obviously were a part of this abject, obvious conspiracy and racketeering enterprise. Racketeering because you normally, if you have a couple of predicates that you can show prior to this, you have, voila, racketeering. And it goes to show you, yet again, this is so obvious. It's not like a conspiracy involving assassinations or where you really don't know. You might have a smoking gun and you might, you have people with witnesses who are dead. No, you've got banks. You've got LLCs that were set up. LLCs that were set up specifically just to receive the money. Not even businesses, just an LLC, a limited liability corporation, just set up to receive the money. That's it. That's all. That's all. That's all it was. And you have them here. It doesn't take anybody any time to figure this out, and it's here. Now the question is, what are you going to do regarding evidence that was obtained when the president was vice president? Can you impeach somebody? Can you remove somebody? Can you certainly you could charge him, but you have to impeach the president first. You have to remove him from office before you indict him. You have to remove him. This is the way it goes. No matter what the crime is, no matter how obvious it is, if he pulls a gun out and shoots somebody in front of everybody, that will not suffice. Do you understand that? Good. So you have to indict him, you have to impeach him first. Remove him. That means impeach in the House, convicted in the Senate. He has to be removed. Either that or he resigns. He has to be out of that office. As long as he is shielded by the presidency, he cannot be charged. Make sure you understand that. And the question is, could he be impeached for something he did when he was vice president? That's the issue. That's critical. Now, how could you get around that? What do you do? How do you fix that? Well, a couple things you could do. Number one, you can claim that the racketeering enterprise that was done then was based on or was basically an ongoing criminal enterprise that is still going on today, where there is an extenuation or an extension rather of that very behavior, that very incident, that very transaction, that very enterprise, it's still going on. And there's other things in law. For example, there's novation, where you might have had a criminal conspiracy, it stopped, it died, but it's picked up again through novation. And then you can continue, you can charge accordingly in that way. It's fascinating. And ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, my family members, my members of the clerisy, my conspirators, it doesn't get any more obvious than this. It doesn't. There's nothing here. You would normally, in any other situation, you would have a grand jury impaneled. They would take the evidence. They would say, we have enough to indict. You have enough to indict. You have individuals. You have people to testify. I received these lawyers, or this bribe. I recorded this at the time. I was the victim of bribery, coercion, extortion. That's it. That's it. It doesn't get any clearer than this. There is nothing more that we must say. There is nothing to say. Nothing more to say. Nothing more to say. That is it. What are we going to do about this? What are we going to do? How do we fix this? That's the issue. How do we fix this? What do we do? What do we do when you have somebody? Now, you can talk about President Trump all you want. You could say, well, let's see what he did. Technical process crimes, maybe. Maybe in the light most favorable to District Attorney Bragg, maybe he miscalculated, misattributed a payoff to an adulteress that he mischaracterized as something else. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. When you start explaining laws like that, when you say, well, you see, I don't want that case. I want a case where you say he shot him, he robbed him, he killed him, he attacked him. That's what I want. That is what I want. That is it. That's the one I want. Biden, he bribed them. Let me also explain something to you. I recently was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about people that we sort of know, or that we know of, I should say know of, who are in what is called organized crime. Now, it's funny you say that. It's funny I say that, because I could always say, well, I don't know if they're in organized crime, the mob, the LCN, La Cosa Nostra. I don't know. Nobody ever told me. I never saw an initiation ceremony. I don't know. I really don't. Sometimes people will intimate that they are, because sometimes it's braggadocious behavior. They want you to think they're connected. They want you to think that. It's important for you to think that they're connected. Okay. And sometimes there are people who do these crimes that are just so stupid. They're so stupid. There's no thinking involved. And there's two kinds of stupid crimes. The first one is somebody who never thought this thing through. And I'm not going to go through them, but there's currently a number of cases pending that many in that life, if you will, are just scratching their heads and wondering, what are you doing? What is this? This is stupid. Then there's something else which is different. And this is somebody who commits a crime in which they say to themselves, I don't have to worry about anything because I'm not going to get caught. See, I'm not going to get caught. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about this because I'm protected. That's the case. That's what Biden is. Biden is saying, I don't have to worry about this. I can go. Think about what he did. I'm telling the world, basically, my extortion. This is a shakedown. You do this, or I don't deliver the money. Just think about this incredible turn of events. It's beyond anything. It's just there. And Christopher Wray and Merrick Garland have to be able to look you in the eye and say, I'm not going to pursue this. I'm not going to pursue this. I'm not. Why? Because this is Joe Biden and this is his son. And we don't go after the president. That's what I'm telling you. Think about what I'm saying. What is this? Forget Trump. Does this make sense to you? It boggles the mind. There used to be these people in the country, these awful, horrible people. People who were a part of the racist South, where there would be a lynching. Emmett Till, the Philadelphia, Mississippi civil rights workers, where they killed these people. And the bloated redneck sheriffs were sitting there chewing tobacco, laughing. They knew they weren't going to be, they knew they weren't covered by the law. They knew. They knew it. If I ask you a question, if I said to you, I am going to give you either 1 day or 6 months or one instance where you can commit any crime you want and you will not be charged. I mean, one crime. What would you do? Would you take it? Of course. One crime. Might be murder. I don't think you would, but you could. Remember, any crime, you get one shot. What would it be? Would it be murder? You would want to pick a crime that you obviously could not get away with whatsoever. You wouldn't want to commit a crime that maybe you already are committing, or one that's hard to pin on you. You want something big. You'd want something big where you could really, okay. I mean, think about this. What would be your crime? What would be your crime? You got one shot at it. What would it be? What would it be? You might say to yourself, well, I'll do a big drug deal. I'll transport drugs. The biggest load anybody has ever seen, and if I'm caught, I get my pass. I don't get charged. You would want to be huge, something so big. You wouldn't want to do something that would be hard to prove or what have you. But imagine what that would feel like. I'm not going to get charged. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's Joe Biden. We do what we want. We do with anybody we want. Can you imagine? Look at me. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Can you imagine what's on that Hunter Biden tape? Look at me. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Do you know how many people have that? Do you know how many people have that? And one of the reasons why do you think so many people are acting weird? Well, one of the reasons is if you have something that you can't, or that you could use against the Biden family, it acts as a form of blackmail. Okay, fine. Now the question that I have, and the question that you have and everybody else has, the question that we have is very simply this. Isn't it something? Isn't it truly something? How this works almost like the Epstein case. Everything, remember, every crime, everything is reduced to a very simple thing. You don't scratch your head. You don't say, you may not know, for example, how things are done. There might be some kind of weird stock manipulation or something, or 10b5 or insider trading that might be hard to explain, but you understand the reason for it. It's to make money. It's to break the rules, and you got that part. But think about what we have here. Think about what's on that tape. Think about women and hookers and drugs and children and relatives and God knows what. What do you think you could do with that? What do you think you could do with that if you had that? What do you think it would take if all of a sudden said, okay, folks, you've seen the good stuff. You've seen, Hunter. He's got a feathered boa. He's asleep with a pipe. I'm going to show you the good stuff. This is the stuff that'll curl your hair. What happens if that's released? What happens if all of a sudden it's out? And why isn't it out? You have to ask yourself questions. You have to be not a detective, but you have to ask yourself really serious questions. You have to do yourself a favor and stop acting like all these people and forget all your Fox News and all your CNN and just forget everything. Just ask yourself, you and I, you're going to be my lead detective on this. What are the questions you want to know? It's very simple. It's common sense. What do you need to know? It's unbelievable. That's over here, and it's sitting there. And they're wondering right now, what do we do? I watched today, against my better judgment, I watched a series of YouTube interviews or questions with Jim Jordan, Ted Cruz, John Kennedy. It was very good. John Kennedy was saying, let's say, I forget what it was a data breach or something. Let's say you have a small business loan in your town. And you're a young woman and you want a loan to buy grain for your farm. And they ask you, what is your sexual preference? Now, what difference does it make what your sexual preference is? It's very interesting. But I would stop and say, you can stop watching this now. Why? Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's ever going to happen. All those people that you heard, all those people, Mayorkas, Fauci. What happened to Fauci? Nothing. You mean to tell me that Rand Paul, Jordan, nobody can do anything? Nothing. No, wait a minute, hold it. You're a congressman. You are, I've got a senator and a congressman, the most powerful. And you didn't do anything. You talked about Fauci a lot. You went crazy over Fauci. And you never did anything. What power do you have? Better yet, what exactly have you done? What are you going to do if Biden is not charged and Hunter is not charged and Jim Biden is not charged? And what are you going to do if nothing happens? Tell me. What are you going to do? How many times are you going to tolerate this? How many times are you going to just keep putting up with this and saying, oh, well, that's just the way it is. That's our system for you. How long? This is the most corrupt government I have ever seen. I've never seen it like this. And we have two countervailing groups here. One, you have the corrupt Democrats, and then you have this effete, useless, useless, dysfunctional Senate. I don't know what they, or Republicans, I don't know what they do. Name one thing they've done. What is it? Name one scalp, one prosecution, one expose, one charge, one indictment, one resignation under a cloud of nothing. Can you think of anything? Nothing has ever happened. Nothing. Let me say that again. Nothing. So whatever you see on TV, whatever these great, this is so great. You can see Maria Bartiromo, and you can see this, and you can, it's so interesting. Or watch your Fox. Now, I want to explain something also to you. And I said this today, and I'm going to say it again. And I know this bothers you, but it makes a point. And if you have people who are not telling you exactly how it is, they're wasting your time. Now, for some particular reason, I don't know what this is, but you have a love affair with Tucker Carlson. I've never seen anything like it. You are so, the last time I saw anything like this was maybe Rush Limbaugh. Maybe. Though that was the biggest one ever. You don't remember, this was in 30-something years ago when they had Rush rooms where Rush was so popular. They had restaurants that would dedicate the entire dining room to the Rush Limbaugh show. People went crazy from noon to 3 every day. Doom, 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 the Pretenders, and you hear that music. And Johnny Donovan, the boy. There was nothing like that. Okay? This is conservative stuff, because I think Howard Stern and radio is up there as well. But nothing really happened. Oh, you liked Hannity, and you had some people you liked. O'Reilly you liked, but not. When O'Reilly left, or whatever it's worth, nobody really went crazy. They just said, okay. And I think he probably got more numbers than anybody. He was like still the biggest. He was huge. Whether you like him or not in terms of number. But something came along where all of a sudden, Tucker, you fell in love with him. He became your boyfriend. It's true. It's kind of weird. I don't know why. He's very smart, very talented. No doubt about that. But and he said nothing. I mean, he said some things that other people say it all the time. I can pull up Lou Rockwell, Zero Hedge. I can look at a global research. I can read foreign. What do you want me to? Where would you like me to read? The American Thinker. I can just name. I mean, just go through a lot of people, a lot of great stuff. Breitbart and others, and everything he said, everything, and in fact, more so. Didn't even get close to it. He never even get near UFOs. Didn't get near it. Didn't scratch the surface. He mentioned it. That's like basically, and how about those UFOs? Okay, next. Wait a minute, that doesn't count. But you went crazy. You said, this is the greatest show. #1 rating. I said, but he's not saying anything. Lou Elizondo, that's okay, but would you? You need time to say stuff. Okay, fine. And then the other night he says something that was so bloody stupid, I can't believe it. And two things. And I don't understand it. And I want to talk to you about this. Not because of him, but you don't understand what's going on. #1, why do you think they went after Trump? Now, I'm going to save you some time. But why do you think they went after Trump? Ask you another question. I love this. Why do you think they wanted President Kennedy dead? Why? What? And you'll hear people saying, I know what the answers are going to be. I know, I've heard this. For 60 years I've been listening to this stuff. I know that. But why do you think? What is with this Trump thing? Why? What happened? When you weren't talking to your Aunt Maxine, when all this other horrible stuff was going on, do you think for a moment that your aunt, your friends, and everybody didn't like him because of the fact that he said that the war in Iraq was what? John McGuire, let me stop a minute. You are a gentleman. The system no longer has any fear of the populace. The only fear The only fear of those within the system. However, I think I do not think that for as tame J6 was, it was concerning to them. Thank you. January 6th was a pretext. January 6th was a symbolic event to be used pretextually to bring down, to make a statement, to throw more sleep, the same way that the emoluments clause, the two impeachments and the like. And thank you, by the way, John. This is a... Thank you. Your friend, your boyfriend, sat there and said, and the reason why, and I guess other people believe this, the reason why that Trump is going through this is because he dared to question the military incursion into Iraq and said that we have weapons of mass destruction or something. I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means. Number two, he was very upset over something, and you can see the internecine fighting. And by the way, I only bring him up because it's important to realize he said something, and I want to just stop talking about him and use this as an example. Joe Biden is not a dictator. Joe Biden is not a dictator. I just did a video on the other videos, which I invite you to see, in which people are talking about Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's insurance policy. Anybody believe that? Anybody believe that? Does anybody want to believe? Does anybody believe that Kamala Harris is an insurance policy for Joe Biden? There he is. The grilled chicken Caesar at McDonald's. It is everything you could possibly want in a salad. Get yours today. Thank you, McDonald's. Thank you. Thank you. Either this is the most brilliant bit, or maybe McDonald's is stretching out. I have no idea, but thank you. I thank you for that. How many people believe that she is the insurance policy? That they will never get rid of Joe because nobody wants her? Anybody believe that? Who believes that? Can you? Can you? Do you believe that? Do you? Kamala as a slot filler? Okay. See, what you're doing is you're repeating the tropes, the tropisms, the memes, the memetics. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? No. Doesn't matter. She is an auto pen. Bring her in. Kamala, yes. Joe was just about to sign this before we got rid of him, before he took a header or whatever, God forbid. I hope he's okay. Here's your pen. Sign this. Okay. Now we have a couple of executive orders. We're going to do this. The first executive order you're going to sign is regarding the removal of a Border Patrol from the... Okay, sign this. Thank you very much. Sign this. Move that here. Now you're going to sign this one. This authorizes state-run to provide puberty blocking for... Okay, thank you. Okay, good. Thank you. What do you want to do? Nothing. Do whatever you want. We'll get back with you. You do whatever we tell you to do. It doesn't matter whether it's you, Joe Biden, anybody. You're going to say what we tell you to say. That's the way that is. Who are we? Doesn't matter who we are. You're just going to do that. The judges here would tell you exactly what to say. Whatever it is. You don't worry about it. You don't have to worry. Believe me. This is the easiest job. Take it easy. Don't worry at to make any decisions. Just sit back, walk around, call you're the first guy or whatever. Have a good time. It doesn't matter. We got it all covered. We'll let you know when we need you. You want to have a press conference? It's up to you. You don't have to. Why? Because we're going to do whatever we want anyway. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Doesn't matter. What about Corinne Jean-Pierre? Doesn't matter. Keep her. Get rid of her. I don't care. We're going to do whatever we want. Better. It's kind of good that she's there. Really? Yeah. Doesn't matter. Anybody else? We run the show. We're working on things right now. We've got stuff coming up with NATO. We got stuff coming up with we're going to completely destroy the American military. You're going to go along with that one. We're going to introduce a bunch of woke lunacy to our armed forces, and we're basically going to just tell the whole world that because a lot of these people are not exactly, I don't want to say they're homophobic, but they kind of look the other way when I think maybe it might be a good idea just to, whatever. So that's what we're going to do. Okay? So that's where, so this business about Joe being a dictator is absurd. It is absurd. It doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he does. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. Everything is taken care of. The Democrats, the Congress, they are so precise. They know exactly what they're going to do. We've got the DOJ. We've got the FBI. We've got everybody. We're lined up. And we're going to grind Trump into dust. Why? Well, frankly, the real reason, because it's fun, because we just hate him. He doesn't pose any threat to us. We're doing it because we want it. He doesn't pose anything. Whatever he wants to do. Find him guilty, not guilty. These are crummy charges anyway. Doesn't matter. It distracts him. And it drives him crazy. And we're going to try to break him. That's the way. There is no two systems. So when Tucker talks about Joe being a dictator, no, he's not. Joe hasn't made one decision on his own yet. Nothing. Do you hear what I'm telling you? I'm not trying to be mean. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's walking around. He's eating his ice cream. Did you hear about his root canal? He has the diet of a child. Did you hear him talk about the pipeline to, I don't know what he's talking about. The trains between something. And none of it, and the the Republicans have done nothing. Now, so let me just tell you that one. That's something that your boyfriend needs to address, and others as well, because you know that politics is a series of cliches. You just keep saying these things over and over and over and over. That's what you do. That's what you say. You just say these things. You just repeat these. I don't know what the word is. You just keep saying these things over and over. And we're a series of cliches. And before you know it, it'll just go away. Now, the biggest issues that we have here, what issues do you think? If I run the shadow government, I'm going to say, what would you like to talk about? The war? Okay. I did a video today. I tried to explain to somebody this notion of the issue involving sustainability. But first, a word from Pizza Hut. You know, at Pizza Hut, we make our pan pizza with dough made fresh every day with pure mozzarella, cheese, and only the finest toppings. We modestly suggest to treat yourself to one of ours. Thank you, Pizza Hut. I do ads. I do national ads for McDonald's, Pizza Hut. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's a great product. Thank you so much. Now, what do I like? Oh. Can I bring up a topic? I have these oldies but goodies that I have, and I love these topics. And I know what you're thinking. So let me bring this up to you because nobody else has talked about it. We were driving the other day and I saw a 5G tower. They're now ubiquitous, omnipresent. And we asked a friend of ours, what's that? Well, that's a antenna. What kind of antenna? What kind is it? 5G. You know what 5G is? What is 5G? What does that 5G mean? What does 5G mean? When did 5G show up? What are the health effects of 5G? What does that do? What does that do? You know what I did one time? I was going to write up a story, kind of a crazy story. You're not going to believe this. Kind of like a science fiction movie. But I don't know that much. But this is my story. I would have people. This is so crazy. This is all fantasy now, mind you. This is just a crazy plot line I'm thinking about. I would have an entire area completely sprayed. I would have people inhale nanoparticulates over years and years, millions and millions of tons of just stuff, kind of metallic, that they breathe, or it's in their water, or it's in the soil, or it's in the food, and I make them real metallic. Everything. Not a lot. They don't notice. Doesn't kill them right away. I mean, it's not to that point. But it'll change the pH and pretty, And then I have these things all over the place. I've got them maybe here. Space weapons don't work. They're really not. The weapons from space are not. You want to be in the atmosphere. You want to be here if you ever want to use them. But anyway, let's just assume. And one day I just do this. I just going to turn them up a little bit. And I basically make people almost like transistors, like they're able to conduct whatever. And you can cause all kinds of stuff. I mean, you can metal, 5G, just what you can do to people when they're bathed in something. It's fascinating. Do you think that's good for your health or bad? It's hard to say. You see, where more young people are getting cancer now than ever, and they don't know why. What is that all about? We don't know why. There was a time years ago, believe it or not. I was thinking about today, David Dorn. Remember him, the 77-year-old retired cop who was shot in the robbery? Horrible. Nobody ever talks about him. Nobody cares about him. But they were saying, why are so many people getting cancer? What is cancer? What is this? How does this work? How does this work? What is it? Where does it come from? And it's a fascinating subject. Cancer is a really interesting because they're all different kinds, all different places. And some are, of course, environmental. Some of them a little bit of genetics, some other things. But why are there so many? Why? We don't know. It's the weirdest thing. Look at this. This was a very interesting story today. I like this. Swollen eyes, a hunchback, and claw-like hands. Grotesque model reveals what remote workers will look like in 70 years. What do you think kids are going to look like in 70 years? What do you think they're going to look like? What are we going to look like? What are our kids going to look like? What area really would you like to freak out about? Because most people don't care about this. What are people going to look like? That's what I want to know. I told you I talked to a teacher friend of mine who teaches 5th grade. And I got to tell you something. I find this so fascinating. What's happening to little kids today is something that you cannot believe. And by the way, nobody's going to be talking about that because that doesn't have the same kind of oomph, as things like, whatever, Russia, those stories. But when you were a little kid and you didn't even realize this and you had blocks and Legos and Lincoln Logs and ball and we threw ball and you judged distance and you felt, I really believe in music. I believe in teaching kids music, and I believe that when you are, whether playing the guitar or playing the piano, when you've got two disconnected simultaneously orchestrated movement in music, and you're listening to what's going on, but you're playing this. Maybe you're following notes, maybe you're not, but you're doing this, and your hands are playing something, and you're trying to move it, do something. There's some kind of either breath or whatever, and listening to it and play it. You have no idea. Doesn't seem like much to you, but it's the most important thing in the world, because what it is, it's mathematics. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And when you and I we had design, and we could hold a pen. And I remember the Palmer method. I remember one time having a little callus right there from holding it the right way. And some people will go like this, and some people, you can just see it. You can see people hold. You can see it now. So my friend, the teacher, says, how am I supposed to take this? Say, take this, put this in your hand, and make these little distinctions of this loop and that loop and an underline. I think it's once called a tittle. There's a word. It's the I. It's the dot on an I or a J. I think it's called a tittle. I'm not sure. But anyway, to do this, they can't do it. They can't write. They don't have a signature. And because they haven't been able to track, because everything's being thrown at them and flashing like this, because of that fact, because they're not able to do that, because they're not able to track, what's happening, interestingly enough, is that they can't read. Because they can't track. Their eyes don't, because they're used to this. You have the machine, and it's blasting. It's just coming at you like that. When you have a book, you're manipulating it. It doesn't seem like much to you. So they can't write. They can't judge distance. They can't hold things. They have no conversational skills whatsoever. There's no teamwork. There's no conviviation in talking and play. Oh. And then they're going to get older. And then they're being told that not only that, but their gender means nothing. Their gender is like a political party. It's like, well, what do you feel like today? And it's okay to say this. And you are and that feeling of being gay, you're probably gay. Yeah. That little moment of indecision, that little moment of question that not everybody has, but a lot of people do. And then they kind of not grow out of it, but it doesn't become that important anymore. Oh, no, we're gonna home in on that. You got it? Good. And then those kids go to high school, and then maybe there's no college, and then they have kids maybe, and they're now the adults, and it's an assembly line, and we're all gone in the meantime. We're gone. But that's where they are. There's an expression that people use. It's effed up. You know what I mean? It's a family show. And it really nails it. That's exactly what this is. This is so monumentally bad at some level. But to so many other people, they don't know what you're talking about. They're saying, look, I don't care about that. And God bless them for that. God bless them. And I'm trying to think to myself, listen to me, answer me this question. What has been our biggest victory? And when I say our, I don't know what you want to call that. I'm not a Republican, but whatever. Name one victory. Name one thing. Tell me emotion. Tell me something. Tell me some. Trump was elected in 2016. Okay. Tell me. Name one thing. Tell me what it is. I can't think of anything. I'm trying to think. The House kind of. Republicans took the House. That's not even really. Name a victory. What is it? These people came in 2016, actually 2017, January 20th, and in this what am I trying to say? 2021. Think about this. What? We've had nothing. We've had not one victory ever about anything. Nothing. It's incredible. So, I sit back with you and by the way, you know, I'm seeing many of you, you're talking about blaming the fake news. Do you really believe that the news, I mean, they're important, but do they have an affirmative duty to tell the truth? Can you go to the news and go, hey, you're not doing your job? They don't have. They're a voluntary organization that are the wholly owned subsidiary of the deep state. They don't do anything. Do you really think they have a duty? No, they don't. They don't have a duty. No, they don't. You understand that? They don't. So stop talking about the media. There is so much good stuff right now on your phone, on your iPads or whatever it is. It's here. Do you go there? No. Why are you going to? Do you really think the media are changing anybody's mind? Or do they confirm what people think in the first place? That's what they do. Do you think Fox News changed anybody's mind? No. It tells people kind of what they want to hear. It doesn't do anything. If there was no Fox News or CNN, would things be different? If there were no media, whatever the news, whatever the fake news, if there was no fake news, do you think things would be different? Of course not. Nothing. Nothing would be different. Nothing. Whether it's there or not, it might be a little bit better. Do you think that anybody is holding back this shadow government regime? Do you? I'm asking you a lot of questions. I don't think so. They're not making it. It doesn't matter. If you have CNN, great. You know, go ahead. Okay. Ashley Babbitt. Nothing. What effect is this? Somebody writes, turns your brain into mush. Not if you don't watch it. Your brain was already mush in the first place. It doesn't do anything. CNN doesn't make any difference. You think that the view matters? No. Too much blame, too much. That's not it. That's not it. We need to have something blown apart. We need to have some mystery cracked. We need something new that'll blow people's minds. I don't know what that would be. I don't know if people are able to have their minds blown, but we need something. And I'm telling you, if you know where to look. I was showing somebody the operation this dark winter from, I think it was 2001. This was a smallpox, this is a tabletop exercise, so Johns Hopkins again, Event 201 and others. People were, I didn't know about that. I said, well, most people don't. But it was there. They didn't hide anything. Nobody covered it. I'm going to make this very, very clear. All your answers, well, most of them, are online. They're on websites, not in dark web places, not obscure. It's all there. It's up to you. But if you keep going to Tucker Carlson, that's just not it. It's like confusing Civil War Reconstruction actor with a PhD in history. They're kind of similar, but no, they're not. See, I just want to remind you of that. That's all. That's all. It's up to you. Don't blame CNN. Don't blame anybody else. I bet you most people here have never written any of their elected officials. None of them. They've never called them. Never written. They may vote. You're very passive. You talk a good game. I mean, not you here, but I mean, America, they get upset, but they don't do anything. There's no, they've never marched, never done anything. They complain a lot, but no. And then they get tired, and then they move on. And some are just professional complainers. They like to complain, but they don't really do anything. And they don't know anything. I love telling people the story about NATO. I love talking about Soviet containment. And you can look at their face and think, oh my God, I had no idea. They had no clue. None. It's just so I'm used to it. So my friends, we're going to pick it up again tomorrow, 8 a.m. I'm going to read some more stuff and watch different things. I love to listen. I was listening to old Bob Dylan interviews about how he got started and what he listened to. What I really was fascinated was that how he, when he grew up in the Twin Cities, professional wrestling, Gorgeous George, what have I told you? Carnies, carnivals, country music, everything. I was listening to him. I said, I know. And he was trying to explain how these things were so impactful in his life. So that's what I was listening to. And I just love to hear lectures about it. Joe Rogan was asking Brian Cox whether he thinks it's possible that there is no other life. He said, not in the universe. In our galaxy, yes. We are 1 out of 400 billion stars in our galaxy. Stars. We have our sun. And then there are about 2 trillion galaxies. And he said with a straight face, no, I don't. Because I can't prove this, of course, but I would not be surprised, I should say, if there was not an active part or effort on the part of these people to act as gatekeepers to always poo-poo the idea of extraterrestrials. Neil deGrasse Tyson does it. Everybody does it. It's like you have to do this. If you don't, you lose your keys to the executive washroom. All right, my friends, thank you immensely. I'd like to thank our friends from McDonald's, Pizza Hut. Thank you so much. You're so wonderful. John McGuire couldn't get higher. So very kind. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the contributions. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. That means a lot. I appreciate that. And I hope you've enjoyed this evening. I'd like to give you a place of solace. You can come in, sit back, kick back, just listen. Hear something new, a little different. That's all. Maybe think. Say, oh, I'm going to feel a little inspired. That's all I want. All right, dear friends. See you tomorrow 8 a.m. Until then, remember these words. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.